It's me, Ned.
All right. The God dude. Hey, I got a question for you. Could Jesus microwave a burrito so hot that he himself could not eat it?
Well, sure, of course he could, but then again, wow, as melon scratchers go, that's a honeydoodle.
Hey guys, it's your boy Tris, and I think I just might have an answer to this age-old dilemma about omnipotence in Mexican cuisine. This is the burrito question. In the Bible it says, "I know that you can do all things and that no plan of yours can be thwarted." This is obviously in relation to God and his unlimited power. But is this truly the case with an omnipotent force? Can an omnipresent, omnimalevolent, omniscient, and omnipotent being perform an act that is logically inconsistent with the confines of its own reality? Can this still coincide with traditional notions of God through interpretations of text? All of these are pretty weighted questions, and I don't think I have an absolute answer, but I might have some compelling debates on the ability of realizing omnipotent outcomes. Obviously, as with anything, it shouldn't surprise me that Simpsons did it first. But like most of us on our recent 420 binges, smoking some of that good manages to get Homer's brain buzzing to where he comes up with the entirety of the first paradox of omnipotence in a single question. The answer to which lies in God's ability, or inability, to logically contradict himself. As Ned coined it, the question is quite the honeydoodle of melon scratchers, but I'd like us all to try and take a minute to try and dissect the question concerning the first attribute of omnipotence with a rational thought process. The burrito argument itself is synonymous with a common line of questioning against the defining attributes of God. Other examples of this type of questioning that concern the ability to simultaneously inflict both dualities of an action at once would be, could God create a rock so heavy he cannot lift? Or could God draw a circle with corners? All of these questions are looking for the same underlying answer that's in duality. Can God create something that fills two categorical opposites at once? Now, before all you Christians get your pitchforks and start marching for my head, what about a defense for God's omnipotence? I decided to take a look around YouTube.
I'm thinking about the challenge that people offer, it's a question really. Can God make a rock so big that he can't lift it? Now, folks think this is a clever challenge against God. It's meant to really challenge the character of God, at least from the Christian perspective, that God is omnipotent. And then they give you what really amounts to a pseudo-challenge or a pseudo-question. I'll explain why in a minute. To demonstrate that some characteristic that seems to be necessary of God is contradictory, and therefore that God can't exist. The problem with question, and there's lots of different ways, or there are a couple different ways to respond to this, but let me just give you one to think about. The problem with this particular challenge is that it is a pseudo-question because it treats God as if he were two instead of one. Think about this. If I said, is Bill stronger than Bob? We pit Bill against Bob, and there might be a contest, and one could be stronger than the other. You have a winner and a loser. But what if I asked, can God beat himself in an arm wrestling match? Well, I mean, that's kind of an odd question, because if he could arm wrestle with himself and he beat himself, then he would be both the winner and the loser at the same time. In order to make these kind of comparisons, you have to have two separate individuals. You can't make the comparison within an individual, because this question, can God create a rock so large that he can't lift it, is kind of like, can God win an arm wrestling match with himself?
This guy makes what seems to be a great argument against the principal reasoning of the question. However, he's actually the one committing the logic crime, and thanks to a certain argumentation and reasoning course, I was awarded the honorary logic constable position. So this is kind of my specialty. So what exactly is wrong with his argument? The description of a pseudo-question described in the video is actually quite inaccurate to the way it's defined in a traditional logic and reasoning analysis, which is the study that coined the term pseudo-question, along with other common argument fallacies such as ad hominem, straw manning, and tu quoque. Our question has no biasing assumption, as there's actually no assumption being made in the questioning at all. To ask a question, can God make a burrito so hot he couldn't eat, is to question the limit of omnipotence itself. We do not assume that he is able to or isn't able to, we simply pose the question and look for a justifiable answer, not an explanation as the guy in the video provides. What the gentleman in the video actually does is the fallacy of shifting conclusions.
I can't believe you're giving up church, Homer.
Hey, what's the big deal about going to some building every Sunday? I mean, isn't God everywhere?
Amen, brother.
And don't you think that the Almighty has better things to worry about than where one little guy spends one measly hour of his week?
Tell it, Daddy.
And what if we pick the wrong religion? Every week we're just making God madder and madder.
Testify.
What the gentleman in the video actually does is the fallacy of shifting conclusions. The question, can God beat himself in an arm wrestle, is unfortunately logically inconsistent in two ways instead of just the single paradoxical fashion of Homer's question. The first logical inconsistency being the same as the burrito question. Can God perform an action that is logically inconsistent with the two qualities of an action? But also adding a clause of an action that is categorical of omnipresence. The question essentially asks two questions. Can God win and lose omnipotence, but also can God challenge himself or be in two places at the same time? That's omnipresence. Our form of the question asks only the validity of God performing an action that is logically inconsistent. The form of the question in this video slides into the realm of logically inconsistent presence, not logically inconsistent ability. He says we treat God as if he were two when he is one, but our questions are concerned about if he can perform two conflicting actions in one state. Either question I'm posing, can God perform any consistently illogical action, or can God perform any inconsistently logical action, would still be appeased with the same answer. The fact that we can use all-encompassing terms such as any or all in these questions indicates that there is likely no biasing fallacy, and therefore it cannot be considered a pseudo-question as it's called in the video.
Dear Homer, I owe you one emergency donut signed Homer. Bastard! He's always one step ahead. Ooh, I'd sell my soul for a donut.
Well, that can be arranged.
Flanders! You're the devil?
It's always the one you least suspect. Now, many people offer to sell their souls without reflecting upon the grave
Do
ramifications.
you have a donut or not?
Coming up, just sign here. Careful, hot pen.
Who's that goat-legged fellow? I like the cut of his jib.
Prince of Darkness, sir. He's your 11 o'clock. Now remember, the instant you finish it, I own your soul for...
Well, hey, wait. If I don't finish this last bite, you don't get my soul, do you?
Technically, no, but...
What this question does is actually move into the realm of other omnis. If we were to ask the question, can God win an arm wrestle with himself, with the answer yes, we get that he is omnipresent and omnipotent, as he can sit in both seats of the table and he can both win and lose. If we answer the question, can God make a burrito so hot he couldn't eat it, with yes, we only get that he is omnipotent. We don't get anything about his omnipresent ability. The truth is, with questions concerning these types of logical paradoxes, they bubble down to a question that we can't fundamentally answer. Can God break logical operation? The gentleman in this video attempts to refute the question, but that isn't necessary. As we see with Rene Descartes, he answers this question with the interpretation of omnipotence in which God can do the logically impossible. He just simply decides that God can do that. Thomas of Aquinas, on the other hand, took a more rational approach to omnipotence. He believed God could only perform that which was logically possible, unable to defy basic laws such as mathematics. What all this really means is that this question is really the honeydoodle of melon scratchers as Ned described it. There might not be just one straightforward answer. Easy Ned, easy Ned. Think of the Bible. Even some of the most recognized Christian philosophers were unable to come to an agreement on this attribute of God, and I won't sit here and be one of those to claim to know the answer either. However, the question is valid, and there's a significance to the answer for everyone, whether religious or not. But what's your take? What do you think about omni-dilemmas of God? Let me know in the comments. As always, guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, remember to upvote and re-Steam if you're on DTube or Steam it, and like and subscribe if you're on YouTube so I can keep bringing you good videos like this one. Have a good one.